Involving Paul Wheel. Neil Crompton's joined me for this one. Cromley, this is probably as bad as it gets, as nasty as it gets.
The whole paddock just held its breath when this happened earlier on today in practice. This is Paul Wheel at the wheel of the PWR Holden number 50, and just on the exit of Reed Park on the run to McPhillamy. That was Brad Jones in the Wow Racing Commodore, but an enormous amount of time passed, and then Chris Pither arrived on the scene in the Team Kiwi car and just drove so hard into the B-pillar area of that car, and quite frankly I just went cold at the thought, and reference to what happened here several years ago. And this is the damage that you can see on that car, and quite clearly it's finished, not just for the weekend, but could be finished full stop, that car.
Yeah,
raises a couple of questions for me. I mean, number one, there's several ways that you can look at this. Either Chris Pither was asleep at the wheel, and that's unacceptable, and if that's the case, then he'd probably be charged with dangerous driving for not recognising the situation. But before we kind of put that stick on him, there may not have been flags, and that's not yet been determined. There is an investigation underway. It's a very dangerous part of the racetrack. It's a blind brow, and so if in fact he was aware, and we've done him a disservice by raising that, but there was a flag, it probably also raises the spectre of whether or not we can have what they have in NASCAR racing or in Formula One, where a light comes on in the car, an orange light, and of course there's no way of missing that, and the sector goes yellow, you're aware, and you're immediately on your game. One of the disturbing things that happens though with drivers is, I think, particularly at this racetrack and particularly over the top of the hill, not enough drivers respect the situation, and they think, oh well, big deal, yellow flag. Here, you cannot be cavalier about it, because you're literally talking about, risking life.
All right, we're about to hear from Chris Pither in just a moment, so we'll hear what he's got to say about it. But now let's get the latest word from the PWR garage. Daniel Gibson's down there.
Well, it's a pretty dejected garage, as you'd expect down here at Paul Wheel Racing. John Panozzo is the team manager. First and foremost, how is Paul?
Yeah, Paul's, thankfully, he's okay. He was conscious throughout the accident, and he's been through the medical centre. He's got feeling in all his limbs, and now they've just flown him to Westmead in Sydney to do the precautionary scans and x-rays. I would think they'd keep him in overnight at the minimum, and but at this stage, yeah, all looking good.
I know that the team obviously was, quite anxious to hear how he was. And, of course, his father, Keys Wheel, is the boss of the team. So as a team owner, you hate to see this ever happen. But as a dad, it must be just terrible. I know that he and Judy have just flown off now.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it was a sick feeling, really, seeing the impact. But, yeah, there was a bit of urgency there to know that Paul was okay. And Keys has been in the medical centre with him for the last hour or so. And he's quite comfortable now that Paul's well, so now they're on their way to Sydney as well.
Well, the car is very, very second-hand. You've been in the caper a long time. We'll have a quick look at the damage there, Rich, if you want to follow around. You've been in the game a long time. Is this one of the worst you've seen?
Certainly, the worst I have seen. Yeah, big impact, extensively damaged, and the structure has held up well to protect the driver, but a lot of damage, yeah.
And the word is, with the schedule, that it may not race again this year. In fact, it probably won't, and we'll be lucky to probably see it race ever again. So it's a fair bit of damage. We just hope that Paul comes out of this okay, and we wish you all the very best. Thanks today.
Thank you very much.
Well, Chris Pither was in the box seat during that accident. And Chris, the most important thing is you are okay.
Yeah, definitely. And Paul as well. It sounds like he's okay. He's gone to hospital, I think, and he's a bit sore, but I think he's going to be okay, which is my first concern.
Tell us what you saw.
Well, I was on a flying lap. I came through the flip-flop up the top there and flat out pulled fourth gear, and the yellow flag was directly ahead of me, which was too late really to do anything about it. The car was only about 100 metres up the road, and I tried to avoid it, but there was no way at the speed I was carrying through that I was going to be able to avoid his car, and I just tried to pull the thing as left as far as possible, and yeah, it was a big hit.
Heavy speed, heavy impact. The damage we can see, parts are off the car at the moment. What's the extent of the damage?
Yeah, it was. It's gone through the whole car. I think from what we've seen so far, we've the boys working hard on it now, and they've stripped everything off it, as you can see down on the ground over there, and they've got all the running gear out of it, the engine, gearbox, and and drive shaft and everything's been pulled out. The front impact's pushed the whole lot back, so it's gone through the whole car. Also inside the car, I got a fairly big hit. It was directly straight on the front of the car, and as I haven't let go of the steering wheel because I've been trying to steer the thing away from Paul's car, I've managed to bend the steering wheel quite heavily, and also bent other things inside the car. So it was a big hit, and it took the wind out of me a bit.
Well, mate, we're glad to see you in one piece, and a sad, premature end to your weekend, but we'll see you back racing again.
Yeah, cheers. It was very disappointing. The car was feeling good, and I was looking forward to a good weekend, but it wasn't to be.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Cheers.
Well, there you have it. Chris Pither, understandably shell-shocked at what's happened. Your comment now that you've heard from both sides?
Well, Chris said he saw the yellow flag. Bradley Jones arrived up there. There was no yellow flag when Brad went by, and he missed him. So I'm afraid that that's a bit bon for Chris Pither for me. I mean, to drive into the middle of that scene, having seen the yellow flag, unacceptable. All
right, the important thing is that both drivers are okay. And Paul Wheel, if you're watching from your hospital bed, mate, we wish you all the best. Get better soon. We'll keep you updated on Paul's condition. Well, qualifying is next. It is all about getting one lap around this mountain spot on.